It's the point where sometimes, you know how you slam your hand in a car door and it throbs and it just won't go away and it lasts for hours. That's what it feels like sometimes when I'm working out. A lot of people were telling me that, you know, I shouldn't go to nationals, and a lot of people telling me that I shouldn't have the surgery, I should just rest and do this and do that. You know, but it's all going to come down to, you know, what I think is best for me. For this meet, I'll deal with the pain.
Dealing with pain like that wears you down mentally, and Blaine Wilson knows that he needs a break, both to get his surgery and to save his sanity right now. He's on his way, though, before that, to a remarkable third national championship. His next stop is the Pommel horse, and that's the event that hurts his shoulder the most.
Pat Fruya keeping us honest on all the stories developing around the floor here at Market Square Arena. After the first rotation or apparatus, Blaine Wilson's lead over Jason Gatson is .6. Jay Thornton has fallen off the map way down in third. And now we'll see Jason Gatson, the 18-year-old, originally from Mesa, Arizona and Los Angeles, California, now from Colorado Springs, on the Pommel horse.
Well, hard to believe that it was May 1st that he resumed his training. He said after that long break, he's still only 75% back from his recovery.
Dealing with a major back injury, and he's actually improved quite a bit on the Pommel horse, but you do see the slight leg separation, but a much more difficult routine from Jason.
He actually struggled in the preliminary competition, had a fall.
This is his biggest challenge in gymnastics, the Pommel horse. Just a dismount remaining, long routine. Oh, and this is bad right here, very, very bad.
Hey, Tim, that right arm just gave way. Is that fatigue, tiredness?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. Definitely he is tired. It's a long routine, but he also is trying to swing right up to the handstand and then do a full twist in that handstand, and I think he got a little bit cautious. We'll see right here, he does what's called a Bailey down to the end of the horse and is supposed to fly up to that handstand. Yeah, it looks to me like he wasn't all that off balance, but just was being a little bit careful. Not quite aggressive enough. That's going to hurt, though. At least 5, maybe 7/10 of a point in all right there.
Turned out to be a Bailey on the rocks. Jason Gatson bumming out with a score of 8.050. As you can see, all the Olympic gymnasts wear the same uniform, so they're making their fashion statements with their hair here in Indianapolis. You had the look of Jason, and Blaine's got some Auburn highlights.
Well, as Beth said, this event is what bothers Blaine's shoulder the most consistently, because the entire time you're on Pommel horse, you are moving, not allowed to stop, and the way you stay on this event we call the beast in gymnastics is by constantly flexing those shoulders, making tiny little adjustments. It's non-stop work, and it requires a lot of shoulder strength.
But Tim, in his mind, with or without the injury, he said this is really a good practice, just in case this might happen in the year 2000. He said, I have to be prepared.
No question about it. A very good routine from Blaine. A little bit choppy in spots, but this routine, it's going to get a big score. Packed with difficulty. Just the dismount.
It's a hit.
Big routine from Blaine Wilson.
He does perform at a much different level than just about everybody else.
All right, you do what
well,
you
it's really unfortunate in a lot of ways. Jason Gatson just made it a heck of a lot easier for Blaine. We saw the same from Jay Thornton on the still rings, his first event. Right here, Blaine shows just how strong he is on the Pommel horse.
There's his fiancée, April, newly engaged this past summer. In fact, Blaine proposed to her in front of about 300 campers during a question and answer period during camp time.
That was some question, and he got the right answer.
He told me he was a little afraid she was going to say no. He wanted a little extra pressure there.
All right, let's go to Jay Thornton now. Third after the first rotation, but well off the lead, and he had that disaster on rings, a 7.6.
But you won't see that here. This is one of Jay's best events.
You know, what's interesting is Jay has some key words that he thinks about just each apparatus, and on this event he thinks perfect punch.
And that happens right on the board. Wants to hit that in a great position. New vault for Jay, and a very big vault. You see that hop on the landing, but that vault is a huge start value. Very complicated. He'll do what's called a round off, turn his body around and then do a double twisting, laid out Yurchenko. This is a new vault for Jay. Very, very difficult.
Amazing that a guy of his height can complete that double rotation.
Jay with a couple of claps of the hand seemed to signify that he liked it. Judges did too, and it's a good score on the vault, a 9.5. First look at Sean Townsend, 5th after the first rotation. Townsend is on the floor.
And he is actually capable of doing the most difficult routines in the world. He's doing an easier routine here today, but still jam-packed with difficulty.
Nice.
There's that 5/10 pass that we talked about earlier. We saw it from Blaine. He'll do another one, but this one done predominantly backwards.
Yeah.
A lot of difficulty in this exercise.
Yeah, Tim, he really does have a lot of talent, doesn't he? A lot of people are saying he's an up-and-comer and could definitely sneak onto that Olympic team in 2000.
Well, no question about it. He's a player in the game. He still needs to refine a few things. His floor exercise, vaulting, the power events are tremendous. Just needs to clean it up a little bit, but
Come on now.
Competed at the Goodwill Games this past summer, came 8th on the floor exercise.
full twisting double somersault, lots of power. Just that step back on the landing.
Well, as we saw from the preliminary round, this competition is missing John Roethlisberger, out with the bad knee injury, and also a familiar face from some of the competitions we had earlier this year on NBC, Yuki Tomita. And spots on the USA team are up for grabs here in Indianapolis, so it's a lot more of a story than just 1, 2, 3. We'll have Sean Townsend's tally off the floor when we come back. Right now in Indianapolis, Jay Thornton is the comeback kid. After a 7-6 on rings, he registers a 9-5 on the Pommel horse. He's back in second place ahead of Jason Gatson. Meanwhile, Sean Townsend's score on the floor was a 9.45. So there you have the top 5. Blaine Wilson's lead is 1.925. How huge is that?
That is gigantic. Every 5/10 is probably equates pretty well to a touchdown in football, so it's gigantic.
Well, here's the quarterback then of the competition, Blaine Wilson, on the rings with yet another test on that frayed shoulder.
But if I had to guess, I would say that that lead will only grow after this event. He is one of the best ring workers in the world, and the reason why is because he is so strong and his positions are more correct than everybody else. Perfectly horizontal. This is called a planche. This one called a Maltese. Takes a tremendous amount of strength, and also, as you mentioned, Al, very, very difficult on the shoulders. You'll see right here.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, you have a good idea right there just how painful that move is on the shoulder.
Now, Blaine actually changed his ring dismount because he had this world-class routine and was never sticking it. He made it a little bit easier for himself, and I've never seen him stick it before. I was giving him a hard time about that.
Just for you, Tim.
Not today.
Finally.
Ron Brandt agrees.
That's Ron Brandt from the U.S. Olympic Training Center. We've seen him a few times already today and helping out many of the U.S. OTC gymnasts.
You know what is amazing to me is he said coming into this competition he wasn't looking for spectacular, but just to get by.
Going from one strength move to the other is what hurts the most, and getting in and out of them like this iron cross.
Wow.
Yeah, that's smarts.
He has only worked out 3 times over the past 2 weeks.
9-9.
Hey, Tim, I'm looking for you on vault, bud.
What is that all about?
Well, what that means is the other day in practice, Tim was giving him just a little bit of grief about his vault, and he said, hey, I've never seen you land it before. I don't think you can do it. He said, this one's for you today.
Yeah, we'll see.
He's good cocky. I mean, you get a good read on Blaine Wilson.
He's a good guy. I like to have a little bit of fun with him. Also said he never sticks that ring dismount. Made a liar out of me there. We'll see.
Another one of those hair statements from Sean Townsend.
And once again, we see this frequently in men's gymnastics. Young kid like Sean Townsend, very, very powerful, strong, tends to develop a little bit quicker on floor exercise, vaulting, maybe even still rings where the power events. Pommel horse, a little bit more tricky technique. This is where he struggles a little bit.
Whoa.
And he is obviously way off there.
Very frustrated with this event. He actually fell in the preliminary competition as well. Not quite that badly.
Yeah, this is not Sean's event. Right here, though, he's already off balance, shoulders a little bit out of alignment, tries to make an adjustment, and he cannot hold on right there, and looks a little bit like he got shot, and feels a little bit like it too. 0.5 of a point minimum deduction for a fall like that, and also just the momentum and the psychological. You know, he trained so hard, he's so good on so many other things, but just seems to falter a little bit on this event.
Sean Townsend, fourth coming in. Now we go back to Jay Thornton to see if he can hold on to second place. And as we go around Market Square Arena, I think you're seeing fair evidence that there's Blaine Wilson, and then there's the rest of the U.S. team right now.
Well, after the preliminary competition, he was actually pretty upset with his P-bar routine. He said that it's been very inconsistent, and he really wanted to focus on it today in this competition. Needs to upgrade it just a little bit here.
Very tricky routine because everything happens one after another. If he keeps things moving, like this combination right here from one skill to another, that's a little bit too long. That pause will cause him 1/10 of a point deduction. Not allowed to stop if you're trying to get those connection bonuses. Dismount here and way off. One thing's for sure, if you land on your heels and your butt is a little bit out, you're gonna sit down, and that means 0.5 of a point.
Not happy.
Yeah, he's ticked off again, so his emotions have gone down, up, and now down again.
Well, he's really had some high hopes coming into this competition. Again, he said, I've worked so hard for this, and I should be in the top 3.
Earned his first major international medal at the Goodwill Games, silver on floor exercise. Said it gave him a lot of confidence. Came in here, really looked good, but has been dreadfully inconsistent today.
The score in the 7s, this one in the 8s, and that one in the 9s. So there's the support of inconsistency. Sean Townsend not happy with an 8.00 with his awkward fall. I'm sure Jay Thornton wanted top 3, and he may get it still when this rotation is over, just not the inglorious way in which he's getting it right now. Back we go to Jason Gatson, about to mount the rings.
I asked Jason what it was like training alongside with Blaine Wilson. He said, I've certainly learned how to become far more intense, to be a better and stronger competitor. And he said, more importantly, to hardly ever miss. That's what makes Blaine so successful. He said, it's the key in competition. Just can't miss.
And big difference on rings between Jason and Blaine. Jason also very good, but he gets his bonus points through all of these major swing elements. Right here, he'll do 4 in a row. Look at this. He just keeps going. Very, very nicely done. This is going to get a good score on rings. Nothing like Blaine is capable of, but a very good exercise.
Work back.
Rings, one of the hardest events with the new code of points to get a good score. You can do a somewhat world-class routine and not even get in the 9s.
There's John Roethlisberger, ever the supportive teammate, injured in the preliminary round, torn ACL, and he'll be visiting with Beth Ruyak in a short while. Jason Gatson score an 8.9, a little low for you?
Well, you know, he has some deductions in the exercise, no question about it. Has a lower start value than we saw from Blaine, but a very, very strong routine. As I said, it's a hard event to get a big score on.
Blaine Wilson, literally and figuratively, in a world of his very own.